때는 2023년 8월 6일 사우디에서 게이머즈 8 e스포츠 행사가 열렸습니다. 한국에선 스타운 레전드 택백 리덴이 초청받아 4강 엘리미네이션 방식으로 맞붙게 되었는데요. 과거 팀 동료였던 김태균과 정명훈이 맞붙게 되었습니다. 과연 결승으로 향할 선수는 누구였을까요? 버미어 맵에서 펼쳐진 그 경기, 지금 함께 감상하시죠.
Fun to see his style of play, kind of like even harken back to some of the old style of PvT, but we'll get into that in a second as we have spawned here in the top left. We do have the blue Terran FantAsy.
Right, the greatest Protoss in the history of StarCraft 1, it's bisu. Two carrier as opposed to some of these quicker carrier builds that I know Stork still favors. So it'll be interesting to see what he brings out. But you
kind of start off a tournament is actually not uncommon at all. It's kind of the norm even. So to start off our tournament best of 3 is quite a treat.
Yes, indeed. So greedy that you are incredibly far ahead. This is something invented by Mini that bisu has incorporated into his own play. Now, is that a forge? It is indeed against Zerg, but it has risen up against Terran. Oh man, FantAsy is going to be going for a 2-factory play against this.
Yeah, so guys, again, I'm going to be completely honest with you. You know, I'm not the best at Brood War, but I got into it.
For a build like this as FantAsy. Now, I believe that's a robo underneath the forge. And if that's the case, so we have 3 gates. Cybernetics core, sorry. Actually favored at that point. You can make a lot of Dragoons and Zealots, and all you have to do is bust it. And he scouted it. He scouted no command center. He sees both a siege tank and a vulture. So bisu here, he's going to have to come out and bludgeon this attack. If he stops this attack, like if he breaks the 2-factory, it is like 98% chance he wins the game. FantAsy will probably leave right away. Up this mass attack, and here bisu goes!
Oh my gosh, with the probes being pulled here, more reinforcements coming out from FantAsy, but is it actually going to be enough as bisu has pulled everything, knowing that this is a very dedicated attack? He is looking to defend right here, right now. That bunker does go ahead and get canceled, and this attack is looking like it's going to have to retreat. But retreat to what? The Dragoons are quite low. There's one more tank going to be microed here. They're going to target fire down the Dragoon. The last Dragoon will go down. Going to be enough to reestablish position.
This is crazy. bisu just lost so many probes. Every probe at his natural is now gone. Mines are getting laid. He did delay that bunker. The bunker's being made again. He tried to pick off these Marines, but no, I don't think we're going to see probes pulled. He could either give up the Nexus, he might pop out Zealots after this, and just shove. Sacrifices one to the mines. He's going to sacrifice another one, and he does get rid of the mines, but not enough left over. FantAsy looks as if he has basically broken this, but hold on. Dragoons, they seem to have a lot of health here. Zombie Grub.
Making this work. Also very much well known for his vultures. The micro with them, but also, you know, him just using them so often, and he's got them into the main base, and that is actually it. bisu just taps out. FantAsy coming back in.
Sharp counter against it, but when bisu was going 3 gates, that could have gone either way. You saw when he rushed in with all the probes and everything. He's like the king of vultures of all time. Really great at those harassments and everything. But we are getting right into game number 2 here. And it looks as if it's going to be on Polypoid in the bottom right. Our winner of game number 1, our Terran legend, it is FantAsy.
Bottom left, now down a game, but can he bring it back? It is the red Protoss, bisu.
You know, bisu, he had more time, but, you know, StarCraft is, it's a challenging game, 1 or 2. And you can actually see, by the way, look at this. This is actually something Rain does as well, where you play on the very small screen. Honestly, there's only Protoss players I've seen that play like that. And I don't think, for instance, you could do it with Zerg because of the really precise clicking on like singular Zerglings and things like that are so small. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much to it. And everyone has their own take in StarCraft 1 on
is even when they kill the Terran kills their main base, they have other bases on the map. You know, it's an actual long, drawn-out process. And the Terran player, if they're gonna go beyond 2 bases, they're not gonna do a 2-base attack.
Scouting him rather late. He does throw his Nexus down. That was just a check we saw with the Dragoon. He has to verify that the command center is there because there's fake builds where you build the bunker and then you cheese behind it. But the range upgrade here. So he's pelting, the bunker and just forcing a repair here. This just sucks up minerals from FantAsy. And that down until a siege tank comes out. And honestly, if you end up rallying in 4 Dragoons, one tank won't do it. You'll run up and snipe the tanks.
Oh, yeah. Not just about the micro of it, but then also whether that scarab actually hits. You're going to see some of that AI and probably a couple of derping scarabs as well, as that's almost guaranteed to happen. Since this is
as if his opponent did go for robotics, which did occur here. So he's going to look to hit a very strong timing attack.
It's the Reaver, that is, but it is a very vulnerable unit, basically. A lot depends on keeping this alive and having its threat at least be constant. There's the first Scarab getting a couple of SCVs, and actually a Zealot also got dropped down.
That was a good scout. More than anything else. The 2 SCVs dying, that doesn't really matter. But just the fact that he gets there and sees, oh, it's 4 factory. Every Protoss knows this build. It's a very popular build right now. Like, this is a scary moment for bisu. This is a build that could end the game.
I mean, is he going to be looking for shots as the army comes across the map?
Generally, yes, but unfortunately for him, FantAsy has run by his vultures. He's just like, well, it's a tough situation. Beautiful mine drop there. The Zealot bomb dragging mines in against those siege tanks.
Yeah, really nicely done. Scarab's going to look for a shot. Get things started as FantAsy, actually, once again, with an aggressive push into bisu. He's now on his own natural ropes, I suppose. Okay, grabs a tank there with the Scarab. Nicely done. Oh, yep, taken down. Getting into that dead range of the tank, absolutely. Another tank goes down there, and now this last one looking to go down as well. Reaver is a little weak.
Run home with that siege tank, hopefully get out of there. The Reaver doing a great job body blocking these vultures. Only one gets in the main base. Still can get some damage, has a couple mines out there as well, so he'll hold a good hold from bisu. He hasn't really lost probes. He's killed off the first set of tanks. The vultures are still around harassing some, but he should be able to clean this up without too much damage.
I honestly thought the Reaver cleaned up now as the vultures head over to that third base to find whatever probes are already there, which of course aren't going to be very much. And these spider mines, they're just annoying to deal with. I mean, sometimes you see them get those huge explosions, or they get dragged into the Terran army.
Indeed it is. You want a lot of vision with that. And he's picking off a few more. Oh my god! Oh! A mine detonation on a Dragoon. We barely caught that, but that killed 4 or 5 probes. We're with them at all times. Always rotating them around, trying to get damage. Vulture's one of the best harassment units, and he is the best with them.
Yeah.
Vultures throughout this tournament. Now, right now, bisu is kind of cleaning things up with the Reavers. He's like, okay, let's stop some of this vulture rotation. We haven't seen yet if he's going to add more factories or not. But yeah, that's kind of what you're thinking about at this point. Okay, I didn't kill the Protoss player. How do I set up for the rest of the game?
Norello building up a very solid tank count. What are we looking at the next development then, technology-wise?
Well, you know, when you're looking at Protoss, timing before they have a critical mass of carriers.
Okay.
So, like, if they have 4 carriers, you can still attack. After 4, it gets out of hand.
And we have our steady push forward as FantAsy looks to attack.
Well, it is a big factory play here. 6 factories for FantAsy, trying to macro out. Those Reavers got a lot of value, though. He lost like 7, 8 Vultures, 2, 3 Goliaths immediately.
Understanding what's going to happen here. But, you know, the carriers actually get out, as you say, above 4. Like, that's the timer that we're looking for FantAsy to have, I guess, an extraordinarily difficult time.
Yeah. Well, when they get above 4, it takes a long time. Carriers take a long time to build. So right now, bisu coming forward. He has slow Zealots walking forward. No legs as of yet, dropping on top of the tanks, but immediately targets down those Reavers.
Nicely done, actually. That was some cool micro, but we have the consistent Zealot flood coming in. There's still a decent amount of tanks and Vultures as well. You guys are going to drop with the Reaver on top of the micro alongside those Vultures, and bisu will push this back, at least for now. Give him some time to get more reinforcements, and in those reinforcements, we do have 2 carriers, but they do not start off.
Hold against the tanks. FantAsy continues to push forward. More interceptors are being made, but certainly Goliaths must be on their way across the map. All the Dragoons.
No. That's gone. Oh, the Goliaths actually taking out a carrier. Only 1 now on the field as the tanks siege up that natural. They have to blast away that pylon wall, but then the Nexus is very shortly also in their sights.
Now, this looks like a scary move, but it actually gives more potential for bisu. With the tank split, he drops on top here. A Zealot on that siege tank does eliminate it, and pure Goliath can't fight against this at all. I think that this was a mistake from FantAsy, maybe a bit too aggressive.
Yeah, maybe over-eager. In fact, more Goliaths do come in alongside some Vultures to help out against the Zealots that tanked up. What damage did they actually do? as they get cleaned up, because we look over there, eventually the Goliaths actually kind of gave chase and got a couple of units themselves. So a lot of Goliaths on the field and a consistent rally.
It looks like these Goliaths, the rally comes up and does eliminate the Dragoons. He's putting some serious damage on those carriers. The carriers do end up surviving. More units coming down here. The missile turret going to be fantastic for Helm Fantasy, but it won't do too well against a lot of the ground units.
Yeah, but Vultures and Spider-Man's looking to help out there instead. Some Dragoons finally coming out as well. And the carrier micro, actually a real highlight of Brood War, guys. It's actually much more complicated than it is in StarCraft 2 as well.
Here's for bisu. He's running into some mines. He's trying to break through right now. His carrier's adding in some extra damage, but the interceptor's being picked off so quickly. The double missile turret really supporting this army. And this is starting to really feel like a 2-0 for Fantasy.
I mean,
you know, you're winning the series. Here, bisu trying to run up with his speed lots, gets on top of a lot of these Goliaths, of course, with the turrets there as well. The carriers still having a very hard time gathering enough interceptors to kill anything.
Yeah, that is the real problem. I mean, they kind of suck in both games, and Scan's going to reveal it on that high ground. And it is going to be, I guess, still holding on with these carriers, basically, around his own natural, which looks really funky. But if you continue doing this and thinning out the Goliaths, well, then suddenly those tanks are only protected by the missile turrets.
The income, and that could spell disaster here for bisu, as Fantasy is getting ready to get his third base up and mining. It's really close to a hold still. But definitely Fantasy is very close to shutting this game down.
No natural as more tanks siege hop forward.
Yeah, it looks like he's picking off some of the observers here as well. The siege tank count continues to grow. The Goliath count is not that high, but the Goliaths plus the turrets just enough to allow the tanks to kill this Nexus. The probes start going up the ramp. They will start to get shot down as well. And GG is called. And 2-0ing bisu here in the round of 4.
Yeah, of course. The beginning of the tournament, which already propels him over into the final. Rivals at some points as well. So this is just a surprising result all around, and I wonder how surprised perhaps like Jaedong might.
첫 경기에선 토스 입장에서 막아야 하는 빌드입니다. 캐논 생렉을 선택했고 엄청 째지도 않고 선 3게이트에서 투팩을 일찍 확인했으니까요. 하지만 첫 뚫기에서 조이기를 뚫지 못하면서 이후 자리가 잡히며 다소 허무하게 게임을 내줬습니다. 두 번째 경기에선 정명훈 선수의 벌처 움직임이 다했다고 해도 과언이 아닌데요. 엠베가 없는 입장에서 병력으로만 리버를 커버하고 이후 타이밍이 막혔음에도 불구하고 벌처를 피해를 주며 따라갔습니다. 보통 탱크가 다소 잡히고 타이밍이 막히면 게임이 터져 있어야 하는데 꾸역꾸역 벌처로 피해를 주면서 따라잡았습니다. 요즘 트렌드가 속업 셔틀 때문에 테란이 주도권이 없는데 벌처가 너무 활개를 치니까 토스가 속셔를 제대로 이용하지 못하는 상황이 벌어졌습니다. 이후 캐리어를 선택하면서 테란에게 다시 한번 타이밍이 주어졌고 질럿 발업이 되지 않았음에도 불구하고 언덕의 이점을 살리고 싶어서 싸우는데 결국 패배하면서 게임을 내줄 수밖에 없었습니다. 다음에도 좋은 영상으로 찾아뵙겠습니다. 감사합니다.